So I want to talk a little bit right now about what this pandemic has done when you're trying to buy property, whether it's single family or multifamily, but even more so situations with multifamily. For single family, obviously, a lot of people don't want you in their house, which makes it difficult. A virtual walkthrough uh, is also kind of a false walkthrough because whoever is doing the video is going to pick and choose, or they can pick and choose how they're going to do the video walkthrough. And then when you do a final walkthrough, if it's a video, you're really not getting the full sense of what's going on. So, it's just makes things more difficult. You've got to practice safe environments. You got to wear masks. People in their house have to have uh, ways of sanitizing, whether it's a sanitizer or whatever they do. They don't want you touching anything when you're going through. Most people now, if they're doing a walkthrough, will want you to wear those booties on the way through. So it has created a lot of issues, and even more so with an environment where you're not buying in the area where you're living. And let me give you an example. You're trying to buy a piece of property, a 100-unit complex in, let's say, somewhere in the southeast United States, but you don't live there. So a lot of what you do initially is, the letter of intent. You go through and you iron out all of those details. You put together a purchase and sale agreement. And now you could do a lot of this stuff by email and even on Zoom, meet people. Now you're at the point where the rubber meets the road. And, whether it's 20 units, 100 units, it doesn't matter. But now you have your due diligence to go through. And one of the problems is that in going through due diligence in an apartment complex, you really want to be on site to review some of the financial data, almost doing an audit, so to speak. You want to look at the leases, compare it to the bank statements, and a lot of times it's much easier to do that on site. Leases are there. You can see if there's been any doctoring of the lease because you've got it right in front of you, as opposed to getting a scan. You can also, have less complication because if you've got quite a few leases to look at, you need to see the original documents. It's much easier to be on site, go through the files, look at the bank statements. Then you come to, and this goes again for any type of on-site review. So if it's in your area, now you're going to do a walkthrough, right? And again, if it's a single family or a multifamily and it's not vacant, people don't want you coming in right now. So let's jump back to if it's out of state. Now you have to travel there. You have to be cognizant of people's feelings if you're going to do walkthroughs of each apartment. There are people who are going to protest the walkthrough, but you need to do it. You need to do an on-site investigation. So traveling there, you're going to be able to drive 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, kill some of the time you've got to do your due diligence, because now in your contract you have a set amount of time to complete that due diligence process. So if you're flying, that's another issue. You're getting on a plane with other people. You don't know who they are, who they've been in touch with. Some people on planes, once they're in the air, tend to drop their masks. These are all things that have created a problem. So it's much more difficult now to buy this property during the pandemic. and it takes a lot more conscious effort to get it done. In addition, of course, now we're going through a period where people are getting vaccinated, but there are people you're going to see uh, in your travels who have possibly been in contact with other people who have COVID, and people you may be seeing who are high risk, older, have health problems. They're not going to want to sit there with you, and even if you've got a mask on and you're social distancing, there's going to be some skepticism, and more so on the part of the people whose apartments you're going into. So, even with when I'm looking at out of state properties, uh, trust me, I'm no spring chicken, and I think about, hey, if I'm going to look in Florida, if I'm going to look in South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, I've got to get there. Uh, I've got to deal with people who I've never met. I don't know where they've been. Some of these states are not very good either at enforcing wearing masks and social distancing. So um, it creates a problem. We're all very anxious to get this over with. I think once it's over, things will loosen up. It will be better and easier to do your due diligence. The flip of the coin is that when it's over and the government steps away from helping people, we may see prices come down because there's going to be vacancies. People who haven't not had to pay their rent will now have to come up with some heavy money, and maybe even if they got government help, what did they do with the money? Either they were helping to feed their family, support the family in other ways, and just didn't really put anything aside to pay the rent. So it's been tough on everybody, and I've firsthand experience where we've been making offers out of state and having to deal with the fact that, okay, when we sign this purchase and sale agreement, it's going to be this day that I'm going to have to travel. How am I getting there? Do I want to drive? Do I want to fly? How long will I be staying? How am I going to handle all of this? So it's been tough all around, and I can't wait for it to end. I know you can't either. So just thought I'd throw that out there and let you know that it has not been easy right now between the prices and not being able to do a lot of on-site stuff uh, without objection. And I will talk to you again soon. Thank you.